Hi, and welcome to the Sallie Tomato YouTube channel. I'm Kate, and we've got a really fun project for you today that's actually using very small pieces of fabric. Non-wovens are perfect for this project because they're going to be raw edges, and I particularly love using the cork. It has a nice soft texture and it's easy to work with. And this can be a low-sew or no-sew project, and I'll mention that as we go along. It's also a great way to recycle or reuse the Sallie Tomato hardware packaging. So I think that's a win-win right there. I showed you some small square rectangular shapes, but we're also going to incorporate a few longer pieces as possible hangers for these ornaments, or I'll show you another option. I'm sure you're ready to get started, but remember, you can always pause the video as we go along in this really fast tutorial. Get your little scraps of cork gathered and let's get started. First, cut out your pieces following the pattern template that is included on the free downloadable pattern, and that's available on our website. You can trace or copy the markings of the pattern piece B, that's for the swirls, onto the wrong side of your contrast fabric piece B. I'm going to show a quick alternative to either transferring or just hand drawing the swirls onto the piece B. If you cut your piece B circle just slightly larger than the pattern template, you can simply mark the outer edge with just a little dot from your marking pen or pencil as best you can. I'm just marking quickly around the little shape, and if I need to, I'll move the pattern just slightly and then poke a little hole in the center so I have an idea where the center is. And then going to cut along a center swirl, dividing the pattern template in half. This is just a pattern rough sketch that I'm using. It's not the actual final pattern piece. Then I can line up the center dot and the outer two markings with the curved edge of the paper pattern, and then I can simply trace. Rotate the little paper template and trace again. And it's okay if it's not exact. When you get a candy swirl, those swirls are never perfect either. So if they're not perfect, that makes them real. I'll continue tracing so all my little segments are drawn, and then I can easily cut them out in the same way, cutting along the curved center line and then just cutting the segments apart to make 10 swirl pieces like that. And I have 5 segments for a front, and I'll cut 5 segments for the ornament back. With right sides up, position 5 of your contrast fabric piece B swirls evenly spaced on each main fabric piece A base for a front and a back. You'll align the outer curved edges and then hold the swirls in place with basting tape, glue, or sewing clips, and I'm using sewing clips. Then at the machine, we'll top stitch the inside curved edges of each swirl piece, or again, if you'd like this a no-sew project, simply use a permanent craft glue and glue each swirl in place. If you'd like to make the little candy swirls into ornaments, simply add a hanging loop, and I'll show you how. I have 2 different options. I have a narrow cork fabric strip and then also a length of jute or twine, and that depends on what you have available. You could certainly use yarn or a narrow piece of satin ribbon. First, fold the hanging loop in half, meeting the shortcut ends, and then on the wrong side of your piece A back, glue or tape the hanging loop ends in from the curved outer edge. I'm using just a bit of double-sided basting tape. You can position the hanging loop with the right side facing up at both ends, just as I'm showing here. With wrong sides together, align the outer curved edges of your pieces A, that's the front and back, and take a minute to offset the position of the swirls. This is going to help distribute the bulk, and then hold the layers together with basting tape or spray, glue or sewing clips. And for the no-sew method, simply use a permanent craft glue to hold these two layers together. The double-sided basting tape works well because it adds just a little adhesive. Since I'm doing the sewing version, I'm going to top stitch around the outer raw edge. Since I'm using cork fabric, I have a 3.0 stitch length. Now we're going to create a candy wrapper. Of course, this is optional, but it's a great way to use the Sallie Tomato hardware bags. First, you'll trim away the sealing strip from the top of the hardware bag, and then you can cut open the opposite fold end of the bag, making a tube. Insert the ornament into the plastic tube, allowing the hanging loop to extend out of one open end. Or if you prefer just a candy treat and you've created the ornaments without the hanging loops, simply insert your little candy into the plastic tube. I've centered the ornament roughly in the middle, and then gather or twist each end and secure the twist with a jump ring or even an office stapler. Another option is to add a little bit of permanent craft glue to securely hold the jump rings in place. Just make sure you're using a glue that is not going to react or eat away your plastic wrapping. At this end with the hanging loop, I'm just going to add the jump ring right around the loop and the plastic. This is where twisting the wrapping a little bit helps, makes it a little smaller to fit in the jump ring. Once you have the plastic bag and the hanging loop inside the jump ring, simply squeeze the jump ring closed. And then add a little bit of glue. And here's a little sample of a candy without a hanging loop. Well, I hope you enjoy making fun ornaments and no-calorie treats. They're also high fiber. Enjoy using those small pieces of cork fabric and reusing those Sallie Tomato hardware bags. And from all of us at Sallie Tomato, we hope you have sweet holidays and have a great making day.